Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons is where we start for the Sunday slate at 1 p.m. Where are we starting with this one, Dalton? Another divisional matchup, an exciting one. We get to see Michael Penix in this offense for the first time, and then the Buccaneers, on their quest for a fifth division title in a row. What are you talking about here in this one to start us off?
This is definitely one of the hardest games both to read, and it was one of the hardest games for me to pick. I think it's as much of a coin flip game as any. The Bucs are favored, but they're on the road in Atlanta. Atlanta's offense looked really good the last 3 games with Michael Penix at quarterback, but both teams dealing with key injuries as well. The Bucs have a slew of them. Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan. The offense is a little bit hampered. Rachaad White just recently got back from a groin injury. He suffered in the preseason, so the Bucs running a little bit short-handed, and then the Falcons even losing the right tackle Caleb McGarry for the entire season. That's a big problem as well. Jalen Walker's been dealing with an injury. He just recently started practicing again. So I think you have 2 teams that are a little bit banged up already before the season even starts, and the games between these two, as well as anybody, Trevor, they always get a little bit weird as well. We don't know where sometimes they're super high scoring for seemingly no reason at all. Sometimes they're physical and they grind it out. Comes down to the last minute. There was a first game last year that went to overtime. So it's a very, very hard game to read, but the one thing I'm looking for on the Tampa Bay side is all season, and in the 2 games against the Falcons specifically even more so, the Bucs struggled last year to cover over the middle of the field between the numbers. 25th in the NFL in coverage grade between the numbers. 31st in EPA per pass allowed. Last in passer rating allowed. The combination of, Levante David getting a little bit older. Servassier Dennis didn't play either of these games at linebacker against the Falcons. He suffered a season-ending injury. I think it was week 4 or 5. Antoine Winfield struggled and had injuries last year. Jordan Whitehead struggled last year at safety, and now it's Tyke Smith back there. I just think the Bucs in the middle of the field against the Falcons, let me give you some of these numbers because it wasn't Michael Penix. It was Kirk Cousins in both of these games, but they were honestly the 2 best games of Cousins' season last year. When Kirk Cousins last year against Tampa was thrown between the numbers, he had an 86.4 passing grade, over 11 yards per attempt, a 140 passer rating, and 4 touchdowns while completing 82%. The Bucs have to cover the middle of the field better, or Zach Robinson's just going to keep attacking it. Michael Penix, look, Todd Bowles is notorious for making rookie quarterbacks struggle, and Penix, by all accounts, is still basically a rookie. He's only made 3 career starts, right? But there is plenty of tape and plenty he can talk to his backup now, Kirk Cousins, about how to attack this Tampa Bay team over the middle of the field. I'm actually going to put out a film breakdown of this later this week, Trev. I know you're not going to love it too much there watching the Bucs getting shredded, but this is exactly what happened in both games and really all season for the Bucs. They have to be able to cover over the middle of the field. They need to bounce back from Winfield, and I think a healthy Servassier Dennis at linebacker makes a big difference as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of players that are really key in this game. You mentioned Servassier Dennis is one of them. You talked about, covering over the middle of the field. I wonder if Kyle Pitts is obviously big in this game, right? There's always the potential of Kyle Pitts, but I think this is a matchup that they could definitely exploit. I think Darnell Mooney as well, who is day-to-day with a shoulder injury going into week 1. Now, he could play, but I think he's pretty big for this team as well because we know Drake London is going to eat, right? I don't think that's a worry. I mean, he's going to get double-digit targets, and he's probably going to get his, but can anybody else around him take advantage of the Bucs defense? You mentioned over the middle, and maybe they're a little bit better over the middle just because Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be better this year than he was last year. He was dealing with injuries. He's an all-pro type of a player, which sort of goes into this statistic. The Bucs defense, 30th in the NFL versus deep passes of 20 or more yards in 2024. They just had a 26.6 coverage grade. Now, again, the safety spot next to Antoine Winfield Jr. was an issue. Antoine Winfield Jr. himself was an issue. Helping over the middle of the field at the linebacker level was an issue that all goes into this that you can realistically tell yourself are going to be different and better this year for this Buccaneers defense. But still, if you have a lot of different weapons where you can push the ball deep down the field, which we know Michael Penix wants to do and has the arm talent to be able to do, that sort of, in my opinion, makes the margin for this game a little bit closer. Ultimately, I think what I'm looking for, and the chat also shouted this out, it's the rookie edge rushers for the Atlanta Falcons. You could throw in Arnold Ebiketie in there as well, obviously the veteran. How can Charlie Heck, the offensive tackle for the Buccaneers, now filling in for Tristan Wirfs, how can he hold up against those players? We know what James Pierce Jr. can be as a speed threat to the outside. Speed is where Charlie Heck struggles the most. Jalen Walker, it looks like after missing some time in the preseason, he is on track to play week 1. You obviously have Ebiketie, like I mentioned there, but heck, 47.8 pass blocking grade in 2024 last season, and just a 45.7 pass blocking grade in the preseason. How he performs, and really, I should say, how well these younger edge rushers can maybe take advantage of his inability to protect the outside shoulder and give up quick pressures, whatever it is, that might dictate where the Buccaneers have to play Cade Otton. Do they always have to play Cade Otton to the left side of the line of scrimmage? Is basically everything that Cade Otton runs, even if he is mainly supposed to be going out for a pass and running a route, does he have to sit in and block at first? Does he have to have a chip blocker, sit there and make sure that he can help out on whatever edge rusher or blitzes are coming? Because Raheem Morris is going to, if he can see that that's an issue early on, they're going to start exploiting and blitzing from that side of the line of scrimmage as well, which is going to cause the offensive line to make shifting protections. Are they going to have that down the way that they need to when Bucky Irving is in the backfield blocking, or Rashad White, or whatever it is? I think all of that goes into it. So to me, it comes down to the Bucs defending the deep pass as much as the intermediate middle of the field, like you mentioned. Is Darnell Mooney healthy? And then what is Charlie Heck going to give them versus those rookie edge rushers? Are they experienced enough right now to take advantage? I still have the Buccaneers winning this game. Shocker, I know. I have them winning 30-21. I'm just not so sure the Falcons defense, which is a young defense that I like moving forward. I don't know if they're going to be on their P's and Q's as much as they need to stop what should be still a dynamic Buccaneers passing attack and just overall offense. And so the Falcons, I think, are going to give them a run for their money as well. I have 30-21 as my score here, but I could absolutely see something like 30-27. Ultimately, though, I think the Bucs offense is just a little bit more consistent than the Falcons is right out of the gate, and I'll say Tampa wins this game. What about you?
I'm just shocked nowhere in that rant did you say how the heck is he going to do it. That's just you missed.
I was leaving that for you. I was leaving that for
that.
You because I knew that you would want to do that.
Well, you are okay. That's fine. You want to save me all the fun puns? That's fine. I'm very split on this game. I settled in on I'm going with the home team. I'm taking Atlanta 27-24. I think these Bucs injuries, especially like you just mentioned, the Tristan Wirfs injury, that's a problem. And look, this is a Falcons pass rush that struggled last year, but I'm curious to see it. Like you mentioned, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr. against Charlie Heck on that left side of the offensive line. And the other thing we have to mention, too, is the Bucs struggle in the interior. A guy that I spotlight in these matchups against Atlanta, Kalijah Cansey, right? When you're talking about Chris Lindstrom and Matt Bergeron and the way they can block these outside zone schemes, that's usually the guy they're trying to attack. He's got to be better in this game because Atlanta's still going to try to control it with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier in this run game as well. But I've got Atlanta 27-24.
What was it? Was it week 2? Where they played the Detroit Lions and they didn't have Tristan Wirfs in that game. They had Wirfs in that game. They didn't have Gedeke in that game. Justin School was in for Luke Gedeke. Aiden Hutchinson had 4 sacks on him, but Tampa still won the game. So that's why I'm saying, you know what? They've been through this before when they have a major issue at one of their offensive tackles, and they're still able to beat a pretty good team. So I'm just gonna lean on that for my prediction for the Bucs to win that game.